Alrighty, we'll go live in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. This is the September 27, 2001 meeting of the Hillsborough County Building Board of Adjustments, Appeals, and Examiners. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're going to give testimony, remain standing for the oath. Pledge allegiance to the flag, States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Going to give testimony, raise your right hand, answer the following question. Do you promise or affirm that any answers you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please be seated. Cell phones to off or vibrate. If you're not in the building and you're remote, remember that there is a slight time delay between us talking here and you answering there. So just keep that in mind. Please call the roll.
Sam Greenberg.
Here.
Mike McEnany is absent with excuse. Charles Foster. Daniel Greenberg.
Here.
Henry Mosley.
Here.
James Palavita.
Here.
Kathy Pratt, I believe is absent with excuse. Doug Shields.
Here.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, had a chance to review the minutes of the August 24th meeting. Entertain a motion. Motion to approve. Foster and Palavita. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Under any unfinished business? Under new business, hearing schedule, Timber?
Yes, sir. You had suggested going to every other month with the absence of applicants on the agenda now. Is that something the board would consider?
Yes, and Joy, the attorney, is being covered by Cherie today, said per the ordinance, we have to meet 4 times a year. So we were thinking that would work. Like the other boards only meet quarterly, so do we have to vote on that or just say that's what we're doing?
That'd be a question for the board attorney.
Cherie?
Hi, good morning, good morning. Yes, that would require a vote approved by the board.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to meet, 6 times a year instead of 12. As schedule allows. I know we're planning to meet next month in October. And because of scheduling conflicts, we're probably not going to meet in November and December. So
That's correct.
whoever wants to take a stab at it, go for it.
I'll make a motion for the Building Board of Adjustments, Appeals, and Examiners to meet 6 times a year or every other month.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, Palavita and Foster. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay. We only have a couple affirmations, so staff want to come up, the one that ends in 189.
Good morning, board members. My name is Rick Finley I'm Code Compliance Inspector with Hillsborough County. I have 2 cases to present today. My first case is case number HC CMP 21000189. Violator is KDB Foundation Holdings LLC Trustee. Address of violation is 8612 Nundy Avenue, Gibsonton, Florida, 33534. Allegations: KDB Foundation Holdings LLC trustee has failed to obtain permits for an addition and new plumbing to mobile home and is in willful and deliberate violation of Section 8-1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances, Part A, HCCCO as follows. 105.1 permit required. Recommendations: citation be affirmed as written, a fine of $500 and a recording fee be assessed and shall constitute a lien against any real or personal property owned by the violator until the fines have been paid and the property is brought into compliance.
Make a motion to affirm.
And Mosley will second.
Okay. Elevita beats you to the punch, but that's okay.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second. All's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Next case, case number HC CMP 21000012. Violator Jose Aguilar Jr. and Margarita Aguilar. Address of violation 12309 Spotswood Drive, Riverview, Florida 33579. Allegations: Jose Aguilar Jr. and Margarita Aguilar have failed to obtain permits for a structural column fence and is in willful and deliberate violation of Section 8-1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances, Part A, HCCCO as follows. 105.1, permit required. Recommendations: citation be affirmed as written, a fine of $500 and a recording fee be assessed and shall constitute a lien against any real or personal property owned by the violator until the fines have been paid and the property is brought into compliance.
Promotion to affirm.
Motion to affirm.
Second. Okay, Foster and Palavita again. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 So moved.
Thank you, board
Thank you.
members.
Modification of order.
Good morning, board members. Keith Crockett, Hillsborough County Chief of Code Compliance. Good case number 20170903. The property owner is Brian Reed. His address is 5021 Palm River Road. The owner is requesting a release 506 North Warnell Street in Plant City from lien on that referenced case.
Staff has no objection.
No, sir.
Motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Palavita and Foster. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Okay, the next case involving Gulf Coast has been removed from the agenda. So next up is the appeal of the building official's determination. Modern Tampa Bay Homes, who's requesting the appeal for the appellate?
The appellate's counsel has asked to do both the code compliance case and the appeal concurrently. So I'm going to read into record the code compliance violation, and then he'll step up and speak to the appeal.
Okay.
Good morning, board members. My name's Travis Minnis. I'm the Executive Manager of Building Inspections and Code Compliance. I'm here to read into record case number 21-00000462. Richard McGinnis, doing business as Modern Tampa Bay Homes at address 89 8th Street Northeast, Ruskin, Florida 33570. The allegations: Richard McGinnis, doing business as Modern Tampa Bay Homes, has failed to meet the elevation requirements and is in willful and deliberate violation of Section 8.1 Hillsborough County Code of Ordinances, Part A, HCCO, as follows. 1. Residential Building Codes 322.2.1, elevation requirements must be flood plus 1 foot. HCC 107.4, work shall be installed in accordance with the approved construction documents. Staff recommends that the citations be affirmed as written, a fine of $1,000 and recording fees be assessed, then or industry licensing board be notified of this board's actions. And then I will turn it over to the appellate's counsel for the appeal of the building official's decision. Thank you.
Lane, did you walk?
Do what? I thought I heard a question.
We'll get back to you in a minute if we have questions.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Colin Rice, law firm of Shoemaker, Loop, and Kendrick, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 2800, Tampa, Florida, 33602. I am here on behalf today of Modern Tampa Bay Homes and Richard McGinnis, who is present with us this morning. He'll be happy to answer any questions at the appropriate time. Thank you for Mr. Minnis for setting the stage here for us this morning. There are kind of three components to what we're talking about today. It's my hope to kind of give you our take in combination and then answer questions as they come up. I think that'll probably be the most straightforward. So we have the two citations just mentioned now for the violations. We have an appeal of a decision from the building official denying an alternate method of compliance. We also have a variance request for you today. We did submit written materials a few weeks back, so I hope everybody had a chance to take a look at those, but I'll be happy to answer questions. So if it's all right with the board, I'll just kind of share our piece and then we can consider everything concurrently. Will that work?
Well, this is an appeal of the citation, so I'd like to hear your case on the appeal, what your facts are that you want us to consider. I know they're all interconnected, having read the material, but specifically, we're talking right now about appealing the building official's decision about the, 104.11, the alternate means and method. So maybe we should address that first.
The appeal first?
Yes.
Okay. So the appeal, at least in one part, is meant to preserve our appellate rights. And this board has a number of functions, one of which is to consider variances. So our appeal is first to suggest that the method of compliance that we had proposed, which I'll get into in a moment, is an appropriate step. But the variance request also adds two additional mitigation components for your consideration. So it would be, instead of just the one initially presented, which are functionally flood dams, and we'll get to that in more detail, we add two as well with the variance request. So I'd be happy to keep them in their lanes. It might be more useful to have the whole package put before you. I'll do that. Okay. All right. So what we have here is a finished single-family home in Ruskin. As mentioned, the base flood elevation is 9 feet. Design flood elevation is 10 feet. It's built at 9.5 feet. So we're short 6 inches here on this brand new home. Again, 6 inches short of design flood. Bottom line is we understand that the buck stops with the license holder. We take full responsibility, understand that the approved construction documents stated a 10-foot minimum elevation, and it's 9.5 feet. That's just the reality. And so we're here proposing mitigation measures through a variance request for your consideration that we think is proportionate to the situation we have at hand. And what I want you to take away is it's a very small actual area in question that's below the design flood. The home is about 1,500 square feet, a little over, and it's 2 stories. So the top of the bottom floor is about 770 square feet. Only 6 inches of that are below design flood. It's about 386 cubic feet in question. The bottom floor here is a great room, a kitchen, and a half bathroom. There's no bedrooms. Those are all on the second floor. Just want you to understand the small scope of the area in question. Reiterating, we know it's our responsibility. The license holder ultimately has to ensure that the appropriate product is constructed. I do just want, as a matter of context, to point out, and this is in my submissions, it's page 37 of the case packet. There was an initial flood elevation determination form with a county staff signature saying the minimum elevation was 9.5 feet. That was since corrected prior to construction. But when the approved plans got to the ground, that message didn't translate. Again, our responsibility, but there was at least initial record of an inaccurate required elevation of 9.5 feet, and that's what was built. So we're here today to seek compliance and in a proportionate and reasonable way. Mr. McGinnis has built hundreds of homes. He's got an absolutely perfect disciplinary record with both Tallahassee and Hillsborough County. This is an extreme outlier. It's just an unfortunate mistake that, had we finished our time machine, we would have had a 10-foot house, but we just don't. So on August 4th, the Modern Tampa Bay Homes team had submitted a flood emergency operating plan that contemplated substantially impermeable barriers made of marine grade polymer that will project from the finished concrete at all base floor openings to create a substantially impermeable barrier up to and exceeding the 10-foot design flood. This is not approved. That's the subject of the appeal. But we're also here with additional mitigation steps for your consideration. So in addition to these flood dams, we're proposing a careful inspection of all the exterior walls. The home is masonry construction, filling any holes and cracks identified, and then applying multiple coats of BASF Master Seal 581 water resistant coating to a 1/16 inch thickness. This is supported by an engineer's report from Karen's Engineering, which is also in your materials today. And that coating will exceed the 10-foot base flood elevation. So the sealant, the flood dams, our concept is to create a substantially water impermeable shell up to and above design flood. In addition to those steps, we're proposing to replace the interior baseboards with 6 inches of moisture resistant composite. So the interior of the home, we believe, will be protected by the previous 2 measures, but in the event of water intrusion, the otherwise vulnerable drywall will be protected up to 10 feet due to the installation of the 6-inch moisture resistant composite baseboards. So again, we're hoping to create a waterproof shell, protect the interior walls from water damage via the interior improvements. We think this is a reasonable proposal to mitigate what is admittedly a mistake here. With respect to variance criteria, I just want to show them to everybody and briefly touch on the various components. I apologize for the formatting here. I don't believe the Land Development Code amendments have made it to Muni Code, so this is an underlined version. Sure.
So far I've heard your proposal is basically dry flood proofing, which is permitted or prohibited by FEMA. So is that what we're debating here? Do we have the power to say it's okay?
Yes, we do.
So that's what we're being asked to provide a variance on?
Well, still waiting for him to get to that point.
Yes, that's the request in resolution of the violations, and we would request dismissal of the citations if approved. It's our proposal to you to reach a reasonable measure of compliance. Okay. I apologize here for the size. For the record, this is section 9.0303C5 of the recently amended Land Development Code. If I can zoom in or zoom.
Just,
sure.
I know that the Land Development Code, or I'm pretty sure the Land Development Code has not yet been adopted. Cherie, can you chime in on that?
Sam, I'm not certain, but I know you have you have code provisions that address this in the construction code.
Right, that's my point. 21-23 has been adopted by the BOCC, which is the construction ordinance. That's on Unicode. Travis, you had something to add?
Yeah, just the new code changes have been adopted. They've been adopted and recorded, and actually the Muni Code is now updated to the new one.
To the LDC?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Just want to make sure we get all the ducks.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Got to protect the ducks. So I'll be brief, but I do want to touch on the points for your consideration to grant variance relief. Subsection 5A, whether this would present a danger that materials and debris may be swept onto other lands, resulting in further injury or damage. Again, we're proposing a waterproof or substantially waterproof seal on this masonry home. For what it's worth, the neighboring homes are older, built previous to this building code, so they are all much lower than this house exists today. Again, it's a very small area imperiled. There's a small chance of any debris going anywhere. Danger to life and property due to flooding or erosion damage. Again, very little real or personal property imperiled in this bottom floor. And we think are adequately protected against with the mitigation proposed. Susceptibility of proposed development, including contents to flood damage and effect of such damage on current and future owners. Same point, it's a very small area in question here and above the base flood elevation. The importance of services provided by the proposed development to the community. All we can say is this land really is only suitable for single-family residents. There's a shortage of market rate single-family housing in Hillsborough County right now. We're meeting that need. The availability of alternate locations for the proposed development. Again, single-family home is really the only appropriate use for this piece of land. Compatibility of the proposed development with existing anticipated development. Again, already built, should have been 10 feet, it's 9.5 feet, and surrounded by single-family residential. The relationship of proposed development to comprehensive plan and floodplain management program for the area. It's a use consistent with the zoning and comp plan. Again, we're just 6 inches off. Safety of access to the property in times of flooding for ordinary and emergency vehicles. Access is not impeded in any way. This is built to code except for the elevation. Expected heights, velocity, duration, rate of rise in debris and sediment, transport of floodwaters, and effects of wave action, if applicable, expected at site. Again, design flood is meant to model a certain storm event. That's the extra foot of freeboard. We feel that we're protected up to and above 10 feet. And the cost of providing government services after flooding conditions, none of this should change. The footprint of the building really is no different than had it been built to 10 feet. And then subsection 6, we have no objection to any of those criteria as well. I can submit this to the record if you'd like. It's just the land development code. Okay. With that, I think I've talked enough. I'd be happy to hear any questions. Mr. McGinnis is happy to hear any questions. Again, we're requesting that the variance be granted as an alternate method of compliance for this home. We appreciate your time and consideration this morning. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Said there were 3 components.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking for a variance from the FEMA requirement. 1, the building officials' determination of alternate means and methods, and what was the third part?
The citations, the appeal of the citations.
Okay. Anybody else have questions at this point? Yes, he's here. Your name and
Richard
address,
McGinnis.
please.
Pardon me?
Your name and address, please.
Richard McGinnis, 736 18th Avenue Northeast, St. Petersburg, Florida. We, the story is that we engaged a surveyor who provided the original 9.5 criteria. That plan was reviewed by the county. It came back at a 10, and we then sent him those approved plans. And for whatever reason, when he put the blue top in, he put it at 9.5. And when he went out to check it, it was 9.5, even despite the fact that the drawings were there in the box and, he had them in an email. And, of course, we submitted the as-built to the county, prior to frame, and we got back a positive. So, we didn't check it. Our superintendent missed it. I missed it. Ultimately, I'm responsible. The surveyor missed it and the county missed it. So we have just a series of misses, and I'm here to take full responsibility, and we're trying to come up with a solution which is appropriate to the scale of the issue. I would just say from a practical perspective is that, there are houses that are around here that are 4.5 feet or so lower. There's been no history of flooding. So from a practical perspective, any kind of flood damage is as remote as one could calculate.
All right. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Anybody else questions?
Yeah, I got a question here. So in this packet here, you've got a proposed dry proofing flood dams, I guess, at the doors here. And you have an engineer has designed this flood barrier?
Yes, and an engineer provided a cover letter and sketches as well. It's all part of the packet.
Yeah, I see that. So are there other methods of flood proofing that you're proposing besides the master seal in this starboard product?
It would be the three that we had mentioned. It's the flood dams, the exterior seal, and the replacement of the interior baseboards.
Okay, well, so my question is, why is this detail for Starwood board here being designed in lieu of an actual flood proofing product? And this to me looks like somebody is making something up, and I don't buy it. I've done flood proofing, worked on several flood proofing projects, and this is if you're gonna, for me personally, if you're gonna ask for a variance, I don't think this is an appropriate method for the flood panels. I mean, these are just basically hardy board panels with screws, tape.
These are not flood dams.
They make products that are Florida product approved. This is not one of them. So I would think before you ask for any variance on flood proofing barriers, the barrier should be something that is designed to stop flood. Yeah.
I'm going to let Mr. McGinnis respond to that.
Fortunately, we've never had to do this before, so I'm not an expert, but we've engaged a structural engineer that is and has a history, in fact, of providing guidance with other projects, I think in Tampa, which had an identical situation that they requested and received a variance. So when we've researched other circumstances that this type of issue has come up, we came up with the same solution. So if there's another way to do it, by all means, we'd be happy to do it. But this is the conclusion that we've reached with, talking to a variety of people that have done this before as professional consultants and registered engineers in a context in Hillsborough County on other projects. Is that a safe thing to say? There have been two examples that we've found that had similar situations and had identical solutions. So if there's another way to do it, we'd be very happy to entertain it.
There's plenty of ways to do it using actual flood products, not design details that don't actually contain flood resisting products. I mean, I just did a Google search. Here's a whole page of them. I mean, I've used them on projects. Quick Dam is one of them.
We'd be happy to entertain.
Why are you guys going through the gymnastics of designing something here that is basically hardy board panel?
So I don't think it's gymnastics. I think that our engineers are professionally licensed people that are considering things that they've had experience with and providing those options to you. Clearly, if there's a better way to do it, we're all ears and we'd be happy to.
Well, I just said that. There are products that are designed, that are manufactured to be installed in this condition.
Okay.
This detail, flood proofing barrier A and B, are not acceptable to me.
Well, if you tell us what is, we'd be happy to do that.
I just told you. There are a number of commercial products, Flood Dam being one of them, or Quick Dam being one of them. There's an ad off of I-4 and the Selman that is for this exact situation.
Flood Dam it is.
Okay, so, that's the first comment that I have, is that this detailing is insufficient. There's not a single product in this detail that is floodproof. I mean, there's stainless steel fasteners, I guess, but how is this going to resist the water?
Again,
there's
you've
no
got
test
more
for this.
experience in this. This is my first time doing this, so I'm not professing to have any expertise. I'm just suggesting that, these folks do have experience and they have.
So do I, and I'm telling you that this is insufficient for my approval of any kind of variance.
Then provide ProDAM. Whatever you want. We're fine with that.
If I may offer as a slight addendum to.
Let me just correct one thing that he said. Yes, there were two previous cases in the city of Tampa. One was 6 inches below, one was 5 inches below. We don't give them a variance, we give them an alternate, which is in our purview as the Flood Damage Control Board under the ordinance. It is reported to District 4 of FEMA, which is in Atlanta, and the whole rub is that typically dry floodproofing is only approved for non-residential structures. So the hope is that we don't give variances typically because it affects our CRS, our rating for the whole community, which impacts our discounts on flood insurance, which affects tens of thousands of citizens here. So it's not a variance, it's basically an accommodation for what, the honest error that happened. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay. I'd like to offer maybe an addendum to our first proposed mitigation measures. We'll be happy to explore alternative and perhaps more suitable products to accomplish that end.
Okay. Following up on that, there's a document from FEMA called P936 that actually has a checklist in it that typically the county is going to review the application for that material. If we grant that type of relief, there's a checklist in it that really should be followed, and it includes the water loading on the flood panels, whatever materials you use. There's also a requirement that there be backflow preventers in the sewer lines, because you don't want to have contamination, coming up in your house just because of outside influences. It's like 100 and something pages. It's all online. Follow the worksheet, and you should, get with the system that would comply.
What was the FEMA number?
936. And that's referenced in technical bulletin 3-93, which is all part of the system. They like different paper. Anybody else have any questions? Like you said, there were 3 components. I'd like to answer or vote on John Barrios had said that he can't approve this as an alternate under 104.11. That technically is correct. That comes to us. So I'd entertain a motion to uphold the building official's determination that he cannot approve the proposed alternate material or method for compliance. Basically upholding his decision on that one portion at this point.
I'll make a motion to uphold the building official's determination that he does not have the authority to approve alternate methods for flood issues.
Second.
Who was second? Doug? Any other discussion?
If you can hear me, I've lost my audio.
You're back.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Okay, so we called the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have the power to grant you the request for the dry flood proofing. In my mind, what's been submitted is not in compliance with the requirements of the FEMA bulletins. So me personally, I'd be willing to give you, a hold on it, or not a pass, but a hold to get it updated, corrected with P936 and all the other information that's available through FEMA. Get it resubmitted to the county. They can have staff review it. And that would be my suggestion, but I need a motion to entertain that. With calculations, obviously.
I'll second that motion.
I can't make a motion. You have to make that motion. That we're willing to table the requirements pending additional submittal to staff of all the pertinent FEMA requirements for that.
Okay, sorry, so you have to go through this twice. All right, so I will make a motion to stay this for 30, 60, 90 days, whichever you prefer, until documentation can be provided that meets the FEMA flood proofing for, well, I guess it's non-residential buildings, but in this case, it'll be residential. So FEMA document P936 has requirements as mentioned by the board. So submit alternate dry flood proofing methods in compliance with that document and calculations.
I'll second that, but I'm thinking 90 days because that'll bring us into the January meeting, and we won't be here for November or December. Is that correct? If you get it earlier, then we won't be able to get it earlier because
we're leaving it up to staff. We don't need to see it again. If staff is satisfied, it's a done deal.
Well, 90 days, does that give you enough time?
I mean, their motivation is to get it done. They can do it next week.
Oh, yeah.
And get their CO and move forward. So the pressure is on the appellate. So Sam, when you're saying staff, who would be approving the flood proofing? Kyle Dolman, who's the flood hazard administrator, who replaced Gene, and Travis would be involved along with John if necessary.
So it doesn't have to come back to us at all.
Okay. We're approving the method of what they need to do to be in compliance based on what we're going to give them as a courtesy to not have to rip the house down, not pick it up and elevate it, but just follow all the published documentation. And that's what we did in the past in the city, the two cases.
Okay, understood.
Specifically, you should look at section 3. Specifically, you should look at section 3. 3.5 of that FEMA document that deals specifically with flood shields, which is probably what you want to be going with. And don't forget the backflow preventers.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Anybody second what he proposed?
A second.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, a second.
Any other discussion, question?
Yeah.
Some of these systems can be very difficult for the average homeowner to install when a flood's coming. Right. So it seems like there needs to be a method to review the flood proofing system to ensure that the average homeowner that, has two left hands, doesn't own a hammer, doesn't own a screwdriver, can install these flood dams. I mean, from what I've seen and what was proposed, would be kind of difficult for the average homeowner to install. It looks like it's simple, but trust me, I run across homeowners all the time that, don't have any mechanical ability whatsoever. And in this case, it needs to be something that is extremely simple to install. And, too, when we're talking about the flood proofing, I was just looking at your plans. Yeah, we have a very small area. We've got a kitchen. We've got cabinets in there. What kind of floor covering do you have in there right now?
It's vinyl flooring, so it's waterproof.
Okay. So, I mean, Yeah, I mean, what you have there is not going to affect you or the homeowner tremendously as far as losses go, unless you've got some really high-end cabinets or whatever in there. But again, what it's going to affect is possibly everybody in the county that's paying flood insurance right now. So personally, I would like to see you just raise the slab up another 6 inches, you know, and be done with it, or 5.5 inches or 5 inches or whatever the case may be right now. Have you thought about that in terms of?
What's the ceiling height in that bottom floor?
It's over 9 feet. It's what, 9'6"?
I think it's 8'8".
Well,
I don't recall, but I think it's 8'8".
9'4" is your ceiling height right now. So you could certainly raise that slab up. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to take the cabinets out of there. You're gonna have to take the floor covering out. You know, you got to cut some drywall out around the perimeters, yeah. But in the long run, do you think that would be something you could entertain?
It's just, again, proportionality of the, you know, having to redo stairs, you know, all new windows, doors.
Well, it seems like the doors, yeah, you would have to modify the doors. But other than that, the stairs, if you're going to put 5.5, 6 inches of topping on there, well, you lose one riser.
No, you'd have to redo the whole stairway.
You wouldn't have to redo the whole stairway.
Code, you would.
No, I could see that you wouldn't have to do that. And what are your risers, 7 inches or?
7 or 7.5, something like that.
Okay. I mean, there's a way you could do that for sure.
I'd redo the stairs, yeah.
But, you know, this would get you out of the woods. You know, the house is built to current flood standards. You know, just something to think about, you know, before you start digging into some more waterproof. Obviously, the waterproofing is not going to be cheap either, right?
No.
You know, just something to think about, you know, before you bring it back to staff again, you know.
Okay, anybody else? See, for the record, Kimber, I see Kathy on screen, so.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
Kathy Pratt is present.
All those in favor of the motion? Aye. Okay, once again, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so 6, 4, and 1 against? Okay, that passes. The last piece was you asking for relief on the fine. Travis, what would staff's position be?
We're fine with whatever the board decides.
Okay. What's your pleasure, ladies and gentlemen?
I'll make a motion to reduce the fines to 0.
Second?
Mosley will second.
Okay, Palamita and Mosley, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Get it updated, corrected with all the proper FEMA standards, get it into staff. I'm sure Travis and staff will cooperate and expedite as best they can and get you moving forward. And if you come up with an alternate solution, like Palamita was saying about raising it up, that's your option also.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Any off-agenda items? Okay, I want to thank Cherie for filling in as the designated hitter for Joy this morning.
You're welcome. Yes, Joy's on vacation today, so.
Yeah, no, she said she
My
wouldn't be,
pleasure.
so. She said she wouldn't be available, so thank you.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Next meeting is Thursday, October 28th at 9 o'clock right here. Unless anybody has anything else, we're adjourned. Thank you.